I've always been the one who did everything right. I worked hard, kept my head down, and did what I was supposed to. But no matter how much I tried, I was never quite good enough in my family's eyes. My sister, Lisa, on the other hand, seemed to have everything handed to her. She was always the favorite, the one who could do no wrong. Lisa and I were close growing up, or at least I thought we were. But as we got older, things started to shift. I noticed that every family event, every holiday, every celebration, she was the one getting all the attention. She was the one who could do no wrong, while I was the one who seemed to always be in trouble, always disappointing someone. It wasn't that I was a troublemaker. I wasn't. But if anything went wrong, I was always the first to take the blame. Lisa never had to deal with that. In fact, she didn't seem to deal with anything at all. Life came easy to her, while I was stuck constantly trying to prove myself. So, when she asked if she could move in with me for a while, I should have seen it as a red flag. But I didn't. I felt like this was my chance to have some real sister time. Maybe, just maybe, if I helped her out, she'd realize how much I'd been there for her all these years. First, it wasn't that bad. Lisa was only supposed to stay with me for a couple of months while she looked for a place of her own. I didn't mind. After all, she was my sister, and family should stick together, right? But then, things started to change. She'd leave for work in the morning, but I'd come home after a long day to find the apartment a mess. Dirty dishes everywhere, her shoes scattered across the living room, and her clothes left in piles on the couch. She didn't even bother to clean up after herself. And when I asked her about it, she would just shrug it off, saying she was tired or had too much going on. I tried to keep my cool. After all, I didn't want to start a fight. But deep down, I was starting to resent the situation. She was living with me rent-free, taking up space, and it felt like she wasn't even trying. Meanwhile, I was struggling to make ends meet. I had my own bills to pay, my own life to juggle, and here she was, treating my home like a hotel. It didn't help that our parents seemed to ignore the issue entirely. They were just so happy that Lisa was living with me. They didn't understand how much I was giving up to make this work. They didn't see the resentment building inside me, the frustration that kept growing every day. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, I came home to find Lisa sprawled out on the couch, watching TV, with half a pizza box beside her. She hadn't even bothered to clean up. I could feel my blood boiling, but I didn't say anything right away. I was tired of being the bad guy, but then she said it. "Oh, hey, by the way, Mom and Dad want me to stay a little longer. They're fine with it, so I figured I could just crash here for another few months." I froze. Another few months? I had already given her a place to stay for over 4 months. My patience was running thin, and now it felt like my own family was taking advantage of me. I couldn't just sit back and let them push me around anymore. The truth was, I was tired. Tired of always being the one to sacrifice. Tired of always being the one to give in. It wasn't fair. I was working my butt off just to get by, and Lisa was living here rent-free, without a care in the world. That night, after she went to bed, I sat down and started thinking. This wasn't just about the mess or the lack of respect. It was about everything. The years of feeling like I wasn't enough, the way my family always took Lisa's side no matter what. They had never been there for me like they had been for her. And now, here I was, supporting her again, and it felt like nothing had changed. I had to make a decision. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had to change. I couldn't keep going like this, feeling invisible in my own home, feeling like I was being taken advantage of. I had put up with Lisa living here for months, all while trying to maintain my own life, but it wasn't fair anymore. After work, I walked into the apartment, and there she was, lounging on the couch again. I didn't even get a hello. It was like she didn't care that I had a long day. She didn't care about anything, really, except her own comfort. I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Lisa, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She glanced up at me, eyes still glued to the screen. "What's up?" She sounded so casual, so unbothered. "I'm not going to keep doing this. You need to move out. You've been here long enough, and I'm not going to let you stay here rent-free anymore," I said, my voice a bit more forceful than I intended. She blinked in surprise, then let out a little laugh. "What? Are you serious? You want me to leave?" "Yes. You've been here long enough, and I've asked you to pitch in, but you don't. You don't clean up, you don't respect the space. And I'm struggling to pay bills while you get to live here without a care in the world. I've had enough." For a moment, she didn't say anything. She just stared at me, her eyes narrowing. And then, in that casual way of hers, she said, "Well, you don't have to be so dramatic about it. I was just going to stay a little longer until I figured things out." "No, you weren't. You were planning to stay as long as you could. You're taking advantage of me, and I won't let you do that anymore." I couldn't believe I was saying it. This wasn't the sister I used to know. This was someone who thought they could walk all over me without any consequences. She stood up then, a little too quickly, and snapped, "I'm not some charity case, okay? I'm just trying to get my life together. Why do you have to make everything so difficult?" "I'm not making things difficult. You are," I replied, trying to keep my emotions in check. "I've been nothing but patient, but you've crossed the line. It's time for you to leave." Her face twisted in disbelief, and then it hit me. She had never once thought she'd have to leave. My sister had always been able to depend on others. Mom and Dad had always had her back, and now I was supposed to just keep supporting her like this. She let out a huff of frustration and grabbed her phone, then called Mom. I knew exactly what was coming. Mom would try to talk me out of it, tell me I was being harsh, and beg me to let Lisa stay longer. When she hung up, Lisa's face was red with anger. "Mom said I should talk to you about this. You're being unreasonable." "Unreasonable?" I was fighting to stay calm. "No, I've been patient. I've tried, but I'm done. You need to figure it out on your own. You can't keep relying on other people." She stood there for a moment, seething. I saw her calculating her next move, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she stormed off to her room, slamming the door behind her. The next few days were tense. Lisa barely spoke to me, and I could feel the walls closing in. I knew she was hurt, but honestly, I didn't care. The anger I had been bottling up for so long was finally starting to surface. I was tired of being the one who always gave in. And then, it happened. Mom and Dad called. I didn't answer at first. I wasn't in the mood to listen to their guilt trip. But after a few missed calls, I decided to pick up. "Why are you doing this?" Mom's voice was soft, but I could hear the disappointment. "Lisa just needs some help right now. She's going through a tough time." I was silent for a moment, letting the weight of her words sink in. "You've always taken her side, haven't you? No matter what. She's your perfect little girl, and I'm just the other one. The one you don't have time for." "That's not true, honey. You know we love you. But Lisa needs us right now, and you're being hard on her." "I've been hard on her for years, Mom. But she's never had to face the consequences of her actions. She doesn't clean up after herself. She doesn't pay rent. And yet she gets everything handed to her while I'm left to pick up the pieces. I'm done being the one who sacrifices everything." Mom sighed, clearly frustrated. "We're just asking for a little more patience. Can't you be more understanding?" "I've been patient long enough. I can't keep doing this. I'm kicking her out. She needs to learn how to stand on her own feet." The phone went silent for a long moment, and when Mom spoke again, it was almost like she was pleading with me. "Please don't do this. We're family. Don't turn your back on your sister." "I'm not turning my back on her. I'm doing what's best for both of us." I hung up before I could hear more of her excuses. I didn't need to hear them. I was done. The days that followed were a blur of tension and frustration. Lisa barely spoke to me, and when she did, it was always some snarky comment or a backhanded remark. The calm I had once tried to maintain was now gone. I could feel the strain between us, and honestly, I didn't know how much longer I could take it. Then, one afternoon, she caught me in the kitchen, staring at the pile of bills I was trying to sort through. She stood there for a moment, watching me as I jotted down numbers, balancing accounts, trying to make sense of it all. I was exhausted. I hadn't even realized she was in the room until she finally broke the silence. "You really think it's fair?" Lisa asked, her tone more serious than usual. "You're kicking me out over a few things. You don't understand what I'm going through." I didn't turn to face her. I couldn't. I was too upset, and I needed a moment to collect myself. But her words hit me harder than I expected. Was I being unfair? I took a deep breath before replying. "You have no idea what I've been going through. I work all day, and when I come home, I find this place a mess. I'm struggling, Lisa, and you've had everything handed to you. I'm not going to keep cleaning up your mess while you just sit back and relax." Lisa scoffed, stepping forward. "Oh, so now you're playing the martyr? Like I don't have my own problems? You don't even understand what I'm dealing with. I'm just trying to get back on my feet. You know what? Maybe I don't even need to be here anymore. Maybe you're right. I'll just go." Her words were like a slap to the face. After everything, she was acting like I was the one who had wronged her. She turned to walk out of the room, but I couldn't let it go that easily. "No, Lisa. You don't get to walk away from this like it's nothing. You've been living here rent-free, and now you want to act like I'm the bad guy? No, I'm not letting you off the hook this time." She stopped, her back to me. I could see her shoulders tense, her anger simmering just below the surface. "You think this is easy for me?" she asked, her voice cracking slightly. "I've had to deal with so much crap on my own. And now you're kicking me out, like I'm the one who's done something wrong." I took a few steps closer to her. "You've been using me, Lisa. You haven't paid a single cent toward rent. You don't clean up after yourself, and you expect me to just keep letting it slide. I'm done being the one who has to give in." She turned around, her face contorted in disbelief. "You're really serious about this, aren't you? Fine, but don't think this is the end. I'll find my own place. But you'll regret this, I swear." The look in her eyes made me pause for a moment. It was like she didn't even see the damage she'd caused. She was so wrapped up in her own issues that she couldn't even fathom how much she had taken from me. "I'm not going to regret it, Lisa," I said, my voice steady, though inside I was seething. "This is something I should have done a long time ago." She stormed out of the room, and I didn't hear from her for the rest of the evening. I didn't know what to expect next. Would she leave immediately? Or would she drag this out, trying to guilt-trip me into letting her stay longer? The next morning, I woke up to a text from Mom. It was one of those "we need to talk" kind of messages. I had been dreading this. I opened it hesitantly. "Lisa told me what happened. I don't think you understand how hard she's been trying. She's been struggling with a lot, and we think you should give her more time." I stared at the message, feeling the weight of her words. I knew exactly where this was going. Mom would beg me to let Lisa stay longer, to be more patient, to keep giving and giving without ever asking for anything in return. But I had already made my decision. I wasn't going to let Lisa manipulate me anymore. I ignored the text and went about my day. It was time for me to focus on myself, to stop being the person who always put everyone else's needs first. For once, I was going to do what was best for me. Around noon, Lisa came into the living room, a suitcase in hand. She looked at me, but there was no apology in her eyes, no acknowledgement of what had just happened. It was like nothing had changed. "I'm leaving," she said flatly, "but don't think this is over. I'll figure things out. I'm not some charity case, okay?" I stood up, walking toward her slowly, trying to keep my emotions in check. "You're right. You're not a charity case. But you're also not my responsibility anymore. I hope you learned something from this." She scoffed, rolling her eyes, and without another word, she left. Just like that. As the door slammed behind her, a strange silence fell over the apartment. It was an eerie calm, like everything had finally come to a head, and now there was nothing left to do but wait. I stood there for a moment, staring at the door, still processing everything that had just happened. I had told myself it would be a relief, but the truth was, I wasn't sure how to feel. I'd spent so much time being the one who kept things together, trying to keep the peace that now, with Lisa gone, I almost felt lost. For the next few days, there was a lot of radio silence. No text from Lisa, no phone calls from Mom. It was almost like the world had shifted, and I was suddenly in uncharted territory. Was this really the end of it? Would things go back to normal, or would I be forced to pick up the pieces of a broken family? The truth was, I wasn't sure I even wanted things to go back to normal. I had lived my whole life being the one who got overlooked, the one who was expected to be the understanding, patient one. It was exhausting. I'd spent so many years keeping the peace, doing what everyone else wanted, that I had lost sight of what I needed. But as much as I had convinced myself that I was better off without the drama, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still caught up in it. That a few days after Lisa left, I got a call from Mom. I wasn't sure if I was ready to talk to her, but I answered anyway, "Honey, can we please talk?" Mom's voice was shaky, almost pleading. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I could already hear the guilt in her voice. "What do you want to talk about?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "It's about Lisa. She's really struggling, and I think you need to help her. I know things got heated, but she's family, and we need to support each other." I closed my eyes, trying to stay calm. "I've supported her for months, Mom. She's had a free ride, and I'm done with it. You can't keep asking me to take her in when she doesn't even try to pull her weight. I've done enough." "But you're her sister. Family is supposed to stick together," she responded, her voice raising slightly. "You're breaking our family apart." I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. "No, Mom. She's the one who's been tearing things apart. You've always taken her side. You've always made excuses for her. I'm not doing that anymore." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. I could hear her breathing, like she was trying to find the right words. "I know you're angry, but you have to understand. Lisa needs us right now. She's in a bad place. I can't just turn my back on her." "I'm not turning my back on her. I'm making her face the consequences of her actions," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "She needs to learn how to stand on her own 2 feet." Another long pause followed, and when Mom finally spoke, her voice was softer. "I understand you're hurt, honey, but you can't just cut her off like this. It's not healthy." I was quiet for a moment, letting her words settle. Was I being too harsh? Was I being selfish? It was hard to tell, but deep down, I knew I was making the right decision for myself. I wasn't going to let my sister's problems become my burden anymore. "I can't help her if she doesn't want to help herself," I said quietly. "I'm sorry, but I've made my choice." There was no response for a long time. Then, just before I was about to hang up, I heard Mom's voice again, small and defeated. "I hope you know what you're doing." "I do," I said, my heart heavy but resolute. And with that, I ended the call. I didn't feel any better. I didn't feel any worse. It was just done. But then, a couple of days later, I got a text from Lisa. I hadn't heard from her since she'd left, and I figured it was just another demand. Another plea for me to let her back in. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to read it, but curiosity got the better of me. "I know you're mad at me, but I've been thinking, and I realize you're right. I messed up. I shouldn't have taken you for granted. I'm sorry." I stared at the text for a long time. It was unlike anything I'd ever expected from Lisa. She'd never apologized before, and now, here she was, saying she messed up. Part of me wanted to believe it, to think that she had truly changed. But another part of me knew better. It was a one-time thing. A token apology because she had nowhere else to go. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I set my phone down and walked into the living room, needing a moment to process it all. Could I really trust her again? Could I really go back to being the person who gave in every time? Before I could think it through, my phone buzzed again. It was from Mom this time. "Lisa's really struggling. She's not doing well. She says she's trying to find a place, but she's scared. I know you're upset, but please don't give up on her." I stared at Mom's message for a long time. The words blurred together, but the meaning was clear. She was asking me to forgive Lisa, to let her back in, to be the person who always picked up the pieces. The same cycle I had been stuck in for years. But I wasn't that person anymore. I had spent so much time trying to hold everything together, trying to keep peace in a family that had been falling apart for far too long. I had sacrificed so much, and for what? So Lisa could continue to use me, so my parents could keep enabling her? I had finally reached the point where I couldn't give anymore. I put my phone down slowly, my heart heavy but resolute. I had made my decision, and nothing was going to change it. Later that evening, I got another text, this time from Lisa again. I hesitated before reading it. She wasn't going to let it go easily. "I don't have anywhere else to go. Please, I'm really struggling. You're my sister. I need you." The words hung in the air, and I felt that familiar tug of guilt. But it wasn't enough to change my mind. Not this time. I typed a response, my fingers moving with a calm certainty. It wasn't a response I wanted to send, but it was the one that needed to be said. "I'm sorry, Lisa, but I'm done. You need to figure this out on your own. I've helped you more than enough, and I can't keep enabling your mistakes." You need to grow up. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The message felt cold, harsh even, but in the pit of my stomach, I knew it was the right thing to do. It was time for Lisa to face reality. It was time for me to stop being the crutch that propped up everyone else. The silence that followed felt different this time. There was no flood of apologies, no guilt trips, just emptiness. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. My phone buzzed again, and when I looked, it was a message from Mom. "You've really made your decision, haven't you?" "She's family." I sighed, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. What more was there to say? No more explanations, no more pleading. I've made my decision, and I'm not changing my mind. I turned off my phone after that, not bothering to read the rest of the messages that might come in. The decision was made. I had to look out for myself now as the days passed. I didn't hear from Lisa again. It felt like the final chapter of a long, painful story. Maybe someday she'd understand. Maybe she wouldn't. But I knew one thing for sure. This time, I wasn't going to carry her burden any longer. I had chosen myself, and for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. No more guilt. No more drama. Just me moving forward. And that was enough.